You're listening to the best local sports show. Boots, Bats and Balls on Six Towns Radio.
Okay, so we're back at Port Vale for pre-season training and with Adam Yates, all prepped up and ready to go, mate?
Well, yeah, we've done a morning session. It was tough, as per usual, Mickey Adams, and then I'm doing your interviews, and then I'm back down for another tough, gruelling afternoon.
Yeah, this is not rain. I've just said to Gaz, the last couple of weeks you might have done some indoor stuff. He said, no, you've been out in the rain getting wet.
Well, the weather makes no difference to Mickey Adams. He'll run us in the snow, he'll run us in the rain, he'll run us in the mud, he'll run us in the sunshine. But that's what pre-season's about. We're not here to have a jolly up and have a good crack and a good laugh with the lads, or not get dirty. We're here to get fit and ready for that first league game, mid-August, and that's what we're doing. We're grafting hard every day, harder than we would obviously through the season, and getting our fitness levels right back up to the levels they were when we left.
Back to square one now, key new personnel coming in and going.
Yeah.
How have the lads that have come last week, the 6 new players, fitted in?
Well, they've done I think they've had a little bit of a shock really with how hard it can be. I don't think that, certainly at any other club I've been at, it's been as tough as this pre-season. But that's what Mickey Adams does to you. He puts you under intense pressure physically and mentally, and make sure that you're right for the start of obviously the campaign. But other than that, they fitted in brilliantly. I think the main thing with the lads coming in is that they fit into the team spirit, and they've got the passion that we've had as a set of players. People might question that, but I'll tell you that this is the strongest dressing room I've been in. There's a lot of big characters have left, and hopefully those lads that come in can fit in nicely, and so far it looks like they have.
Yeah, Murray Williams is no stranger. Obviously came to Vale last year, and due to what's going on behind the scenes, he couldn't stay at the club. He brought something to the team, and I definitely think he'll add something to the team in the new season.
I think he certainly had his goals when he was here, but he seemed like he got people up and off the seats on a more regular basis than they had been before, and that drives passion in fans, and it drives passion in players. But I think him amongst the others, I think they've all got that in them. I think you look at Artel, captained a promotion side last year. You've got Duffy, who's played at a good level, play anywhere really. And then you've got Ashley Vincent, who I would look at as the same as Jennison. He looks dangerous, he looks quick, and looks like he can take a chance to score a goal. You brought the steal of Murphy in, and obviously the goalkeeper who got promoted in a Shrewsbury side. So all in all, they're looking as though they're a good set of signings, and I still think there'll be more coming. But let's just see what the manager's got in his sleeve.
Yeah, Liam Dickinson was here last weekend. He's been training with you. Again, it could be a key signing if he can get fit, and a good replacement for Rico. Well,
I think he's more dangerous aerially than Rico. He's a big lad. He's a very big lad. He's a big, strong lad. I think Rico's goals speak for themselves. He had a chance, he would more often than not take it. If you ask a lot of centre-halves in Leicester League, he was one of the best forwards. They'd say Mark Richardson. Obviously, we wanted to keep him, but it wasn't to be. So, Mickey's looked around and he's brought someone here that can hopefully get fit, and someone that's caused us problems in the past. We look at his record in this league's second to none. Really, he scored a lot of goals for Stockport when they went up. And I think if we get him fit and right, I think he can be a good sort of big hit at this club.
A couple of pre-season games coming up. You played Tranmere and Coventry, plus the Island trip, and a few local friendlies as well. Is it going to be good for you to get some competitive football, even though it is friendlies under your belt?
Well, I think pre-season you go into these games tired, and the longer the pre-season goes on, the less tired you get. You sort of come away from the running and sharpen yourself up. But they never are friendlies. We got on that football pitch, and the friendly games, and they might not have 3 points on them, but we certainly don't want to lose the game. And there's a lot of passion that goes into these games. Sometimes I think people can think pre-season games are a bit lackadaisy and slow, but more often than not, when you play these pre-season games, it's sweltering. The heat's high. We've been running all day, so it might look like we're taking a foot off the pedal, but it isn't. We're probably working as hard in those pre-season games as in any other games. So hopefully by the time these Tranmere and Coventry come, the sun's not beaming on us, and we can be getting about the pitch like it was the first game of the season.
One of the good things about the rain, the pitch is looking absolutely amazing, getting ready for the season. Yeah, it's a friendly game, in essence, say Coventry or Tranmere, it doesn't mean anything, there's no points or anything like that, but for pride for the fans, it's nice to take a higher league scalp as well.
Well, we've got to have pride as players, and certainly as fans, they want to turn up and see the team win 3-0 against a team from a higher league rather than lose 3-0. You can turn around and say, oh, they're a higher league team, but pride speaks for itself, pride and passion. And there's no substitute for that. So we want to go out and win these games. We want to go out and make the fans leave and be talking about us, how well we've played, how well we look under the new manager, how well the new lads have fitted in, and how their expectations for this season are high.
Yeah, I remember, it's a few seasons, I can't remember what year, probably about 4 or 5 seasons ago, Port Vale played Coventry in a friendly before the season, beat them quite convincingly, and they were managed by Mickey Adams.
Really? We'll have to remind him of that one when he starts chirping at us this afternoon. But, I would imagine that Coventry side would have probably done 2 sets of hard running that day, and, I would imagine that the Port Vale lads would have done no any of the work that the Coventry lads had done. So I don't think you can really learn into the pre-season games, but let me tell you now that I would know just how hard those lads have worked before they turned up here with Mickey Adams.
And finally, yourself being a player here for a few seasons now. For one reason or another, it's been close but no cigar with getting into the playoffs. Do you think this season could be the one?
It's been a disappointing 3 years. Personally, I've played a lot of games, but we've not got promoted. And I think that now is the time. I think last year was disappointing because we were set nicely to perhaps kick on. The season before we let ourselves down. In the first season the manager was here, he sort of gave us optimism for the forthcoming year. So I think everything's setting nicely for this forthcoming season. We've got good players in. I would imagine there might be 1 or 2 more coming in. He's got the team spirit of the lads that are already here. The fitness levels are looking well. There's a lot of big teams in this league, which is the other side of the coin. But we want to be in the race, and we want to acquit ourselves well and get people talking about us.
Let's look forward to a new chapter. And thanks a lot, Adam.
Fingers crossed. Thank you.